He measured his worth by motion. Every still moment felt like falling behind. Every quiet evening felt like wasted potential. Every time someone asked what he had been doing, he needed an answer that sounded productive. Silence was not an answer. Rest was not an answer. So he never stopped. He filled every gap. Every morning before the world woke up. Every evening after it went to sleep. Every weekend that could have been rest became another opportunity to prove something. To whom, he could never quite explain. But the drive was real. The discomfort of stillness was real. The moment he sat down with nothing scheduled, nothing to optimize, nothing to produce, a quiet panic arrived that he had learned to outrun every single time. Society rewarded this. Called it hustle. Called it discipline. Called it ambition. Put his face on the version of productivity that looked like never stopping. And he believed it. Completely. Without question. Then his body stopped believing it. It did not ask permission. It did not send a polite warning. One day, it simply stopped. Illness. Exhaustion so deep it had no floor. A forced stillness that no amount of willpower could override. He lay there, unable to move, unable to produce, unable to outrun the quiet he had spent years avoiding. And in that quiet, something unexpected happened. The world did not end. The people who mattered did not leave. The things he thought required his constant motion continued without him. Quietly, without drama. He began to wonder, when exactly had rest become the enemy? Here is what nobody tells high achievers about rest. The brain consolidates learning during rest, not during work. The insights that feel like they arrive during showers, walks, and half-sleeping mornings are not accidents. They are the product of a brain finally given permission to process what the busyness prevented it from integrating. The body repairs during rest, not during motion. Every athlete knows that the workout breaks the muscle down. The rest is what builds it back stronger. Without recovery, there is no growth. Only damage accumulating quietly beneath the surface. Creativity does not come from pressure. It comes from spaciousness. The greatest ideas in history arrived not during frantic work sessions but during walks, baths, silences, and deliberate pauses that the culture of constant productivity would label as wasted time. He had been skipping the most productive part of the entire process. The dark side of never resting is a particular kind of emptiness nobody warns you about. He achieved things, real things, things that looked impressive from the outside, and felt hollow almost immediately from the inside. Because achievement chased from a place of proving something never actually fills the thing it was supposed to fill. The goalpost moved every time. The next thing was always the thing that would finally feel like enough. It never was. Because rest, the actual integration of what had been built, was never allowed to happen. He did not know who he was when he was not producing. That realization, quiet and devastating, arrived in the forced stillness of being unable to move. Leonardo da Vinci scheduled deliberate periods of doing nothing. His critics called it laziness. History called it the incubation of genius. The Japanese concept of the sacred pause between notes in music, teaches that the silence is not the absence of music. It is the music. Without the pause, there is only noise. The fields that are never allowed to rest eventually produce nothing. Every farmer knows this. The fallow season is not failure. It is the preparation for the most abundant harvest. The tide does not apologize for retreating. It simply goes back so it can return with full force. He stopped earning his rest. He stopped treating stillness as something that required justification, as something that needed to be balanced against an equal measure of output before it could be permitted. He allowed rest, simply, without condition, without the mental accounting of whether he had done enough to deserve it. And from that allowance, something unexpected arrived. Clarity he had been too busy to access. Energy he had been too depleted to feel. Ideas that had been waiting patiently in the silence he kept filling with noise. You do not need to earn stillness. You do not need to justify rest. You do not need to be exhausted to the point of collapse before you are permitted to stop. Rest is not the reward at the end of enough productivity. Rest is the foundation underneath all of it. The most productive thing you can do today might be to do nothing at all. Stop. Not because you have finished, but because rest, real, guilt-free, unconditional rest, is where everything you have been working toward actually becomes real.